This is turn 48 of I equip my heavy crossbow, and the turn in which I capture all of the thrones. So first, I lose a golem. So that's not good. But on the other hand, the golem does manage to get almost everything out of the province. So I'm just going to show you real quick what happened to this poor little golem. So first of all, huge little throne thing here. This guy right over here is pretty impressive as far as throne defenders go. If this had been a super long game, I would have actually tried to steal it. There's a couple ways you can do that with assassins set to cast charm. It's a little complicated, but it's definitely doable, and then once you do, then you're essentially broken into Tartarians already because you have a D8 caster. It's really awesome. But in this case, I'm just claiming this, or taking this throne in order to capture it. So, these guys. These have actually been patched in the original game. These guys were size 1, which meant that there were 6 per square, but that doesn't make a huge difference since they can't really hurt the golem anyways. They cast Rigor Mortis because it thinks that that's a good spell, but Rigor Mortis doesn't actually affect the golem at all. Instead, the only guys that she's putting to sleep are her own indie dudes. So these guys basically can't hurt the golem at all. It has very high magic resistance, and yeah. So you can see here that the Rigor Mortis is definitely piling up. These guys are all getting fatigued. So the only reason that I'm actually going through this battle is basically just to show how the turn limit thing actually killed this golem. But it basically relies on these guys being too fatigued to retreat. In retrospect, it might have been a good idea to put a fear hat on this golem, just in order to make everything run away faster. Okay, so this is the first turn timer. But since he's Berserk, he's not going to actually melt, as he would if he didn't have that X. And this is the second turn limit. So, importantly, she's routed. And, yeah, so now she's gone. All these skeletons are going to melt. But all these guys, they can't run away because they have over 100 fatigue. So all the ones that are waking up here now that Rigor Mortis is gone are actually running off the battlefield. And he decides to go chase after them because for whatever reason he's locked onto one of them. And there you have it. The final turn limit is reached, and the golem dies. But, because most of these guys routed, and when indies route they're actually dead, there's very, very little left here. So it's going to be all too easy for my Tomb Oracle to waltz in and actually take the province. So here in Ivermark, we re-siege the fortress with just a blob of guys. Here in Witchhaven, Pythium attacks us and gets absolutely obliterated. That's right over here. In Gladewood, my Tomb Oracle finishes off these guys, and we don't need to watch that. It's just a couple of regular dudes getting owned by an SC. And here, we once again take on one of Arcocephali's provinces. So he actually reinforced the army that he had here instead of pulling back. And he even invested in a little bit more province defense. So because I re-upped on gems, I was able to summon up fire elementals here, and these guys are on the same flank as the elephants. So yeah, they're put there on purpose. I for sure wanted those to run in the way of the elephant. And an ethereal element. Yeah. Ethereal elephant isn't really going to do anything to fire elementals. And between elementals and evocation, I quickly trounced the remainder of Arcocephali's Frontline. So again, just lack of mage support on his side and effective mage support for mine. I do manage to lose one of my Servants of the Oracles though, which always sucks. That's just a stray shot, so too bad, so sad. Here in Dovin, I actually do manage to kill these hydras with my fire elementals. It's just a couple hydras, and yeah, they die to size 6 fire elementals, as we've seen. Here it's a kind of a good thing that my blind fighters are so slow, just because it allows the fire elementals to run in front of them. This one here does get kind of stuck behind my guys, which is a little too bad because it causes some fatigue damage and can potentially light some of them on fire. So fire elementals win the day. Blind fighters even help a little bit, and because they're regenerating, they regenerate right through the poison, but a couple of them do still manage to die. Here in Elder Hill, this is just mercenaries taking on another thing. This is one of Arcocephaly's raiding parties. He's just retaking provinces that my little raiding party up here was going for. And let's check out that fight in the Godwoods. Oh, we lost this fight. Okay, so what happened here was actually that the sepulcrals took too much damage and ran away. Yeah, okay. So there's actually only 3 of them in the squad. And while their morale is very high, it's not 30 or 50, which means they do actually still take morale checks. So it looks pretty good at first. They're just, freezing these guys. But yeah, they get shut up. So they take some morale checks and they fail, and then they run away. So even though they could have easily held and won, just the lack of units there meant that, yeah, my army routed. And since Arcocephaly did reclaim this province here with his actual army there, they didn't have anywhere to retreat to, so they died. So that was too bad. It was still definitely worth trying, and as we saw, they actually did fairly well, so if they had managed to make their morale checks, who knows, I could have even taken the province. Given that it's a small and inexpensive raiding party, definitely worth trying, even if it didn't work. Okay, so this is the Feral Woods. This is one of the thrones. Throne of Death. This is a 2-point throne. That means if I can hold this, and this one, the Iron Throne, then I'll already have enough points to win. So I was wrong about what throne that was, but it's what it is. Here in Fasdir, this is just my taking one of Arcocephaly's provinces, again with just a raiding party. This province I lose to an indie attack, so that's too bad. In White Harbor, he retakes this farm province here, and then he retakes this one right over here as well. I'm not really setting much in the way of a trap or anything for Arcocephaly's guys. I'm just moving my golem out into the water here, just so that he has access to teleportation, and I'm not going to begrudge Arcocephaly's recapturing of these provinces. Right, so my raiding is going on as well, and I'm doing just as good of a job snatching his stuff, and in this case, I'm snatching the more important stuff, because I'm actually getting the thrones that I need to actually win. So this is the only risky one, like I mentioned, but it's still not too bad, because even if I do manage to lose this one, I need to lose one of these 2 thrones in order to actually lose the game. Joman does have a Dione here, but unless it's geared to actually kill an undead SC, which is possible, it's actually very easy to gear up to kill a Tomb Oracle or a Dione, which is subject to the same vulnerability. All you need to do is give them a 3x damage to undead weapon, and a Dione in particular is a very strong combatant, so he can easily one-shot this guy if he's geared to do so. However, I don't think he is, so I'm going to have him sit here and claim the throne, and I'm pumping up the province defense here so that even if he is, he has to chop his way through that in order to actually get to the Tomb Oracle to kill him. And then here in Valrest, I do manage to lose one of my raiding parties, so that's too bad. It's just the AI set up a bunch of PD on that fort. Here in Mag, I once again run my Tomb Oracle into Arcocephaly's army, and once again, he is not scripted to actually fight it. So he summons up some bugs and some lesser elementals. This guy's got a charcoal shield, so he just burns right through those bugs when they attack. And since he also has the silver hallmark providing protection from arrows, none of these crossbows are going to do a thing. And he's all set up to resist Soul Slice spam. That's what's up with his 29 magic resistance, but that's just not happening. The elephant does a little bit of damage, but dies very quickly. And then it's just a matter of him soul vortexing up off of all these guys. Since he doesn't have all of the extra layers of mitigation, he can still take occasional chip damage from the hoplites, so he does take some afflictions, but he's perfectly okay. And yeah, once again, Argocephali not really taking advantage of his national strength and using good mages, and so this Tomb Oracle is able to siege his fort. Here I'm just taking another province from Gath. Here I am actually able to siege Pythium with my SC here. Given what the AI has been doing in regards to its Hydra usage, I should even be able to keep this under siege, assuming that I don't win, which I expect to. Here in Panya, that's my Golem just making his march to the sea, so that he can get into position to teleport once again. Let's see. This is just a raiding party of hoplites with some maid support. Yeah, that's retaking that. And that is retaking this. Okay, so he did bunch up over here. Interestingly, my guys actually slipped past him, and they joined up with these guys, so that's always fun. I expected to lose the mage there if he made that move, but it seems I didn't. And then here he moves his whole big ol' army with his Cyclops, Priestesses, and Mystics right into range of my throne fort right here. So, I do expect to win the game this turn, and as a result of this, I am not going to bother using these guys as I had been expecting to, which is to cover for my Pretender. Instead, I'm just going to have them patrol, just because I really wanted to use Rain of Stones now that I have it. So I know this isn't going to work. I know that because these guys have enough gems on them, given their paths, that they're going to trigger gem spending, and that he's going to cast Mass Flight. Because of all of the hoplites and elephants here, I know that Rain of Stones isn't going to be enough to rout this army, but I just want to bomb these mages. So it's definitely not going to be worth it. I know I'm going to lose these guys, but it's funny. I like blowing up stuff with Rain of Stones. The reason that I am teleporting my Pretender down here instead is that I am storming this castle here. Because it's the AI, I don't expect to have any trouble killing it. This is a very basic setup of just these lizards charging in. This guy's going to cast Howl in order to make wolves appear inside the enemy fort. And then I'm supporting that with just my own guys here who are being buffed up slightly with quickness in order to get more attack and defense. And I'm having these guys here who are ethereal going to slip through the castle walls and kill anything else inside. So just standard fort storming stuff. These guys are just here to basically provide an HP anchor. I definitely want to keep them out of the way. I only even hired them in order to help siege down the castle walls. And this guy here is basically being left outside the fort in order to make sure that if everything does go wrong and my guys do run away, that I'm still able to keep the fort under siege. Meanwhile, my Pretender is teleporting in order to claim the throne after I capture the fortress. This guy is teleporting into the Raspberry Woods right over here, basically in order to prevent this little army right over here from moving onto the fort, since I don't have a way of preventing these guys from moving onto the throne from the fortress. I can at least stop these guys from joining up with them and give the Tomb Oracle, literally Snuck, just a little bit less to fight. And then, yeah, aside from that, not a whole lot to say about this turn. Ill Omen. I lose the Mercs to a Barbarian attack, which is okay. I get a little bit of free money. That's nice. Oh, and I get a free magic site. So that's cool. I get some Hobergs, and if I really cared about nature magic, I would now have another nature mage. And these guys are also fairly efficient researchers too, given that they cost only 55 gold. but I don't need any of that, so it's just kind of a nice little thing to pop up. Again, since I'm expecting to win this turn, I'm making the bad decision to move this guy onto Gath. This is one of the few ways where you can lose a Tomb Oracle. Gath by this time has actually gone AI. If you look at the Pretenders, he has completely given up. So I'm just going to be stuck with what the AI is scripting. The player might have actually already given the Molochs sufficient gear in order to kill the Tomb Oracle, but given what I've seen from Gath as a player, that's potentially unlikely. And yeah, so I'm basically just moving him onto that fort in order to just like try my luck, since I expect to win, and potentially just get another fight. And yeah, this is the semi-final turn, and it's basically just up to Archocephaly to try to recapture some of the thrones that I've taken from him. And if he can't, this will be the last turn. This is turn 49. To start with, I am claiming 4 thrones, all on the same turn. So that means that if these thrones are not recaptured, I win the game. Gath cast Mother Oak, because he has the N9 Pretender to cast it, and apparently the global is still there, or still available. A number of flame bolts appeared in Gladewood, so he tried to bomb this guy with a remote fire attack. Oh, no, wait, I'm sorry. Joman, the other remaining player, tried to bomb that guy with a fire attack in order to support his own subsequent attack with a Dione. So here, my Golem successfully teleports onto Gath's army, in Ripe Woods, right over here. So he basically just scatters them and takes the province, which is nice. If provinces end up mattering after this, this is definitely a very good one to have, just because it provides me with Bloodslave income. My Tomb Oracle is actually able to successfully siege Gath, because the AI isn't really doing anything in terms of patrolling with mage support. My Golem jumping onto Archocephaly is able to scatter this army as well, so if it had been going onto the throne, it no longer is. And we find some magic sites. So these are definitely too late to matter, but still, you know, always nice to find things. I would have had more Death Gems and Earth Gems as the game went on if I needed them. Gath moved a scout into the province that my Golem had teleported onto, so the Golem kills it. Let's see. Okay, so this is the battle where I just drop Rain of Stones. So I just really like dropping Rain of Stones. This is totally wasteful. I've spent 50 gems empowering this guy, basically just for the emergency fight, where I would need to use my Pretender in order to hold on to this. But, like I mentioned, since I expected to win, I just wanted to blow him up. So let's see it. And there we go. That's all of his mages dead. A majority of his crossmen are dead, but of course all of his hoplites, elephants, and Pretender are still alive. So these crossbowmen are all routing. Oh, that's interesting. Bane did not cast Mass Flight. He just cast Flight on himself. Okay. I guess these guys, after spending their gems, no longer trigger gem spending, so that's kind of funny. Still, the flying Cyclops by himself can easily kill an ungeared Tomb Oracle. And with his elephants catching up, they take care of him. So that was fun. I killed a lot of stuff, actually, 321 guys. And yeah, 13 mages. This could theoretically be worth it, but with 50 Earth Air Gems being spent to empower that Tomb Oracle and a valuable Earth Random Sorcerer of the Sands, not something I would have done if I hadn't just expected to win and wanted to see a bunch of stuff get blown up. But yeah, Rain of Stones, good spell. Here in the Moonsea, my Mermage is defeated, so this is just a bunch of amphibious stuff moving in, beating my tiny amount of PD and the Mermage who I had been site searching with. Evergreen Forest, I am capturing this. Archocephaly is not even trying to defend it. Feral Woods. Okay, so he tries to take a throne from my Tomb Oracles. So I moved the Tomb Oracle who had been besieging that fort to join his sneaky brother here and hold on to this one. And yeah, Archocephaly isn't trying very hard, it seems. Yeah, still nothing here that can actually kill us. Spamming a hard mark could potentially inconvenience them as the game goes on, but even then they would need a ton of horror marks just because they can kill most regular horrors. So I hold this throne. That's awesome. That's one needed to win. Let's check out what happened here in Robber Home. Okay, so this is another one of my 2 Merkles just raiding around. I actually sent him up here in order to cut off the retreats so all those crossmen that run away actually died if they made it off the battlefield. So that's nice too. And because he's fully geared up, and we know what Archocephaly has here, he is actually capable of kicking this army off all on his own. So unless Archocephaly manages to basically find an escape path, his pretender would be toast. Here in Ardun, a similar story where he actually does have a fair number of mages here, he just doesn't have them casting anything that can kill Tomb Oracle. So this is the extraneous one, basically just the bonus point. Not actually needed to win the game. But even here, all he's got is just a bunch of crossbows. Yeah, these guys just kind of look unscripted. So he's casting the fire snare spell, which basically just locks my Oracle down for a little bit. Because this guy doesn't have arrow shield or a shield, he is actually taking some damage from the crossbows. However, he's still buffed up, so he has very high protection. And because of his fear aura here, he's still forcing a bunch of morale checks. So one squad of crossbows routes. And the second follows. He's being earth melted up, so definitely controlled, but it doesn't take too much longer for the remainder of Archocephaly's forces to run away, just because they couldn't kill that guy. So that is another throne held. Let's check out Kamsuth. So this is just my other raiding party right over here. This was basically just the guys who I was considering even sending onto the throne in order to help hold it, but I had decided that the two Tomb Oracles by themselves should be enough, and they're able to basically just take another province. Little arrogant, but it's nice to just take extra stuff. Here he raids back this province right over here, given that my Golem was just running into the sea. He's just chasing after it, reclaiming that stuff. Gath just moves out of his capital with a bunch of guys and takes on some province defense. Joman attacks me, takes some province on my border here, which I don't particularly care about. In Gladewood, so this is one of the thrones, the AI tries to make a move. It doesn't go well. There's nothing here that the AI sent that can actually hurt it, unless this guy's casting, like, Pillar of Fire or something, which he isn't. And indeed, he is poisoned by those Hydras, or the Hydra hatchlings. And he runs away, which makes the rest of his guys rout. And then he gets to stand next to the poison and die again. So that's that. And then Joman sends a Dione. So if this guy had been geared up in order to actually take a fight, he definitely would have a reasonable chance of killing a Tomb Oracle. He has these two paths just the same. He has H1 to bless himself, so if he has a similar blessing, he can be similarly strong. And he even has fire in order to cast Phoenix Pyre and other potential buff spells. However, he has no gear at all. So he's just relying on his standard Nodachi in order to take on a fully geared SC, which is never going to end well. It looks like he's just trying to cast, like, evocation. I guess he was trying to use Welcome Sign in order to potentially charm the Tomb Oracle, but yeah, not a chance. Here in Fungwood, Archocephaly reclaims another one of his provinces. Or actually, this one was one of mine beforehand, I think. No, this was one that I had raided at the start of our war. So yeah, this is just a big old blob of guys. Looks like it's split off from his main force right over here, which he had used to siege that fort. And I claimed the Fortress of Satala. There was almost nothing in there. I lose a couple of guys to arrow shots, but overall, nothing doing. And this guy, if I didn't already have enough thrones to win, would have claimed the final remaining... if I did actually lose a throne, I mean, would have claimed the final remaining throne that I needed. So yeah. We get some additional events which don't really matter, and I reign supreme. So yeah, that was a fun game. I was able to use Agartha's early game strength in order to push myself to an early lead, and then I was able to use my mid-game magic to snowball that lead. As the mid-game grew on, I was able to use SCs effectively against people that didn't deploy efficient answers against them, or really anything effective against them. And thanks to that, I was able to just kind of roll over Pythium, and then put myself into range to actually claim the thrones needed in order to actually win the game. So yeah, this was my first finished AAR. My next series is probably going to be either a Lemuria game, in which I face slightly stiffer competition. Most of the other players in that game still made a large number of mistakes, but you at least would get a chance to see some decent enemy scripting. And I also actually didn't have as much of a free pass diplomatically as I did in this game. In this game, everyone was pretty much content to leave me alone until it was much too late. Whereas in that game, I actually do fight a 5v1 war for a little while, so that was fun. Alternatively, I might just end up doing some guide videos just in order to show stuff like scripting for expansion, various magic stuff, or just nation guides. So I'll figure out what I'm going to be doing next, but that just about wraps up this series, in which Omala the Undertortoise manages to reign supreme. And yeah, just let me know either in the comments or by messaging me, for those of you who talk to me on Discord or similar, what you'd like to see me do next.